Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hi, Meg.
Hey, how's it going? Happy almost New Year.
I know, thank God. Um, we have a little advent calendar in our kitchen with a little mouse, and every day he moves from one number to the next, and that is the only way I know what day it is or anything. Um, yes, this December has been an utter blur, and I
Totally.
really am just running on fumes.
I agree. This year with the vacation days where they are in the days of the week, lots of people are taking off next week. And so I just look at my calendar and all these meetings dropping off, and I'm just like, yes, yes, so much
Yes,
time to clean up files and like actually wrap things up and feel like I've,
yes.
I don't know, made any progress on anything this December.
I know. I love to see all the out of office announcements, and the top half of my Outlook calendar is just out of office banners from people,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful
You
thing.
know, interesting you mentioned that because that happens at my work too. It's kind of like Outlook should maybe come up with something a little bit better, or maybe they do and I just don't know about it. But they should come
Mm.
up with something a little bit better than like people just sending meeting invites when they're out. Because, yeah, like
Oh my
next week,
gosh.
half of the top of the calendar is just like 14 people, who I work with who are like, hey, I'm out next week, which is like good, important information to know. But maybe
Hmm.
there's something a little bit better than that. I don't know.
I've personally had to walk two people through creating those little out of
Yes.
office
Oh my
things
gosh.
because it's so complicated. And if you do it wrong,
Yes.
you can like block off someone's calendar for 2 weeks.
Yes. Set is free,
Oh.
no reminder, no
Uh-huh.
recurrence, no
Right.
responses. Yes.
Come on,
No.
Outlook. Come on. Help us out here. So, before Meg introduces our guests, a quick disclaimer about the pod. Our program does not disclose any confidential information about any company or employee. It's for entertainment purposes only.
Well, we welcome you to another episode of Surviving at UX, and we're welcoming a special guest host today as well. It's our first male guest on the podcast, which is awesome.
Woo!
And he's also an engineer who's paid his dues over the last 15, probably plus years, and risen through the ranks to become director of identity platform at LogMeIn in Santa Barbara, California. It's definitely our favorite engineer, John Spann. Welcome, John, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, John. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I was listening to your advent calendar and reminded that we're a week from Christmas. Like, oh man,
Oh,
really
shit.
already, it's coming.
I've resorted to asking people in meetings about Christmas presents. If there's like a little bit of downtime in a call, I'll say, hey, what are you guys shopping for? Any ideas?
I'm the kind of person who every year I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing it. Everybody just gets my love and cookies and like experiences. I'll just take you out for a meal or take my sister's kids out bowling or something.
I
Like
like
that's
that.
it. And then about this time, a week from the holiday, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do presents. So last night I'm on Amazon like buying like
Yeah,
$300 worth of things, being like, oh, is this gonna arrive, is this gonna
Yeah.
arrive? Yeah, so that's
yeah.
that's how I
You
do it
and
every single year, is like i'm
half
not
the
i'm not gonna do
country.
physical things.
Hmm. I
So
know. I know. I'm always like, hey, we're above gifts. We love each other and we know it and we don't need to give each other a gift. And then I think like fast forward in my brain to we're sitting around the Christmas tree and my husband looks up at me and is like, where's my present? John, what's
Oh.
your Christmas gonna look like?
Uh, we are doing, so our family does, we bake as well. So tomorrow is going to be like the Christmas cookie baking day. All
Oh,
day
very good.
baking
Mhm.
cookies, mostly sugar cookies, and then various icings that never come out good, but are always fun to do. Um, those end up in various cookie boxes for brothers, sister, parents.
That's
Um,
cool.
and then my mom is coming up from LA on the 23rd and staying through the weekend.
Nice. Nice. Man, that sounds so exotic. Mom's coming in from LA. In Southern California, I guess that's no big deal, but on the East Coast, that sounds really cool. So John, did you ever think you'd be on a UX design podcast?
No, to be honest.
Have you ever been on a podcast?
I have never been on a podcast. I am an
Oh my
avid
gosh.
listener of this one,
Okay.
but never thought I'd be a guest on it. I have been enjoying listening to the fun stories and relating to the
Tales.
really bad experiences.
Yeah, trials and tribulations of product development, being in product
Yes.
development.
Do you consider yourself an honorary UX designer? I feel like some people have been through enough where they feel like they could just step in and do it.
I've had the pleasure of working with some really great UX designers and researchers, and have been able to watch customers use the things that we've built, and I am been very humbled by those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I do not consider myself a UX designer or an expert. It's like,
stand-in.
No, that is there. It's very humbling to watch somebody. You have a design that you think is going to be like, oh, this is easy, and then you watch them moving the mouse right past the thing, not clicking in, not going, like, oh, please, you're yelling at the screen, just click there, it's to your left. Oh, great.
It's so
It gives me
true.
a great appreciation for what it takes to convey a concept to a user who is less aware of the systems. And I think that's something that we take for granted as engineers, is we know our systems really well, but our customers never do. And
Mhm.
the language that we use, the paradigms we have in our heads aren't the ones that the customers have. And when you throw it at them, it's sometimes, you know, hit or miss on how well that gets conveyed and gets understood. And that's always humbling when your design that you thought was perfect just gets fail after fail on the UX usability studies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing that, like, I think the average listener, or sorry, the average user might not know if they're not, steeped in software development culture, or at a company where that's, the main thing that is the output. Is that, we have to break up into teams. We have to be these smaller pods of teams that are working on different parts of the overall system. And so while you might be logging in and then going to a particular page and then performing some sort of task, or doing something in an app, like that might be 3 or 4 different teams that own those different spaces, and the teams themselves are like, well, we own this space and it's great and it works, but the user is hopping through like 4 different spaces that 4 different teams
Right.
have created. And like, to not have those things kind of like work, or have the navigation match or something along those lines, like it's hard to do, especially at companies that are tiny startups, or owning the entire experience within one engineering team. So not just like within the experience itself, people not finding the button, but like hopping
Mhm.
over those artificial seams that we have, because we have to divide product development up into a certain manageable way. But for the user, it's just like, no, I'm just, I'm logging in and I'm doing my task and I'm getting it done.
I remember getting a lecture from a user researcher that I met at a conference, who was like, had been in the industry for like at least a couple decades. And they were like, young designers just don't understand that they don't need to remake every little button and every little, calendar picker or whatever. That like, if someone comes to your page and your calendar picker is different than the one they just used on the other page, that's going to throw them off, even if yours is really beautiful. They're like, they don't value the consistency, over like, hey, mine's going to look better. And they're like, it's just better, give me the ugly calendar picker twice versus give me an ugly and a beautiful one.
Yeah.
So,
and John, I know that all 3 of us have worked on projects and products that have just a long history where going back and updating things just isn't a reality. So you end up with those really disjointed experiences.
Yeah, and then this is where design patterns and design frameworks can help. But if you're the challenge is you have to adopt them and use them. If you have a component library, it's not valuable if only a portion of your experience uses the component library.
Right.
Yeah. Well, speaking of UX designers, obviously Justin and I are just amazing to work with all the time, never cause any problems, and we're just fantastic partners. But things can't be great all the time when working with UX, I am sure. So can you tell us about a time when things haven't gone well between UX and engineering?
Jessamyn touched on an aspect of it I was thinking about, which is this tendency to redesign. So there's plenty of opportunity or reason to reevaluate user experiences and some of the design decisions. But there quite a few times we've had I have had a UX person come in, join the team, and take that as an opportunity to change everything about everything as part of their experience.
Why is that so painful? What's wrong with that? What's the big deal?
It is so hard to go through and drastically change, like as Meg was talking about, there's many pages, many maybe even different teams that you're not really aware of the ownership areas of, and making that type of a drastic change at one level that doesn't carry all the way through can be really hard to orchestrate, first off, really jarring, and in some ways, in some cases, the change doesn't even apply to the system. The engineering system doesn't work that way. We can't. I really like that design. That's really would be really cool. We can't build that. How does that? This is a complete disconnect. We cannot support the great thing that you came up with. We're gonna have to kick off a whole project, a whole multi-sprint, possibly multi-quarter project to design what you just envisioned. So
let me
becomes
ask
really
you this.
challenging.
Let me ask you this, because designers face this conversation every day, and it's a really fine tightrope to walk when you want to push back against engineering to be like, no, let's make it better. It sucks. Let's try. Can we get something? And then the engineer being like, look, this isn't happening, and quit asking me because it's not happening. And the designer has to really, I think, be careful, because on one hand, you want to have an impact, you want to make it better, you're judged, your performance is judged on the experience, and if it's crap, then it's all coming back on your head. But at the same time, you don't want to burn out your engineer's trust and get into a bunch of arguments with them, and they feel like they aren't heard and all that. So what would you say to that? How do you express that to a designer without, I don't know, coming across as a total dick?
Yeah, so there's an interesting partnership there between both UX engineering have the same end goal, which is we want the customer to be able to use our products and our services efficiently and without too many pain points and hurdles. But there is a balance between good user experience or good enough user experience and good enough engineering complexity. So having those conversations earlier on before we get too far into the finalized designs or the finalized implementation, what goals are we trying to achieve? Where can we have some of those trade-offs where, okay, this isn't, there's maybe a better experience we could have built, but it's too complex. Whereas we're willing to take on a little bit of that extra complexity because it has such a drastic impact on the experience, and finding places where we can quantify those trade-offs and say, hey, if we do this, yes, it's going to take us an extra sprint or an extra week of work to engineer, but it reduces the user complexity or the user overhead or the workflow or whatever it is by a significant amount that it justifies the cost.
Have you ever regretted saying yes to a designer and then you're like, uh-oh, we agreed to something that we can't deliver?
We had built this project on its face seemed fairly straightforward, and we were like, okay, this is going to be, we all talked about it, this, everybody agreed that there was value in building this feature. It was the ability to kind of schedule reports to happen. Like we have the ability, my team oversees an administration system for the products. You can run reports as an administrator, but all we ever had was you can run a report right now and put in the date range and get it.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to run that report every month or every quarter, right, kind of put in a schedule and just have that thing run for you,
Mm-hmm.
seemed fairly straightforward, fairly simple to engineer as well. And we thought, oh, well, this seems like a good goal for the end of the quarter. And this was part of our quarterly kickoff. A year later, we still hadn't delivered.
Oh my God.
And as of right now, it is ready to go, and we are building out the user experiences. We locked in the engineering backend. It's coming on a year, and it'll be 2 years in January that we were talking about this, and we are now ready to build the user experiences on top of the engineering platform that we have built out.
Holy smokes. It's like having a kid. I mean, it's like when a project takes longer than a baby, that's when I feel like it's just too long. I don't think projects should go longer than 9 months.
Yeah, and we had conversations about, should we just pull the plug? Oh, but we're so close.
Oh,
and then, no, because it was deceivingly simple. And what the other thing that kept coming up was, we came up with these really, there's when you're scheduling something, how do you put in that schedule and have that make sense? Like, what are the options that we want to be able to display, and how much control do we want the administrator to have, and how much restraint do we want to have in the system?
mm-hmm.
Getting that balance right and making it so you could schedule that, okay, I want this to be every 30 days, every 3 months, every quarter. That became a big challenge of just translating the user experience selections into a meaningful backend reporting scheduling system.
And like when you started,
iteration of that. Sorry, Meg. We did multiple iterations of that and kept trying something, and then it would fail, and trying something again, and then it would fail. And every time we were like, oh, we think we're there, and then we'd go and do the testing or do and it was, oh, oops, nope, back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and it sounds like there was a lot of like discovery of things that would and wouldn't work kind of together with engineering and UX like together. On the other hand, like when you were talking earlier about things that like the engineers know will and won't work, like I've been in so many situations where I come in and I'm like, hey, let's try this, and then it's like just plainly and painfully obvious that like it's just not going to work. And it's so it's like, oh, I should have known that, or like, like, oh, like I feel dumb, I don't know the system well enough. But this is kind of like the life of the UX designer, because as Jessamyn, you were saying, like, this is what we get judged on, this is what we get rewarded for, or or
Right.
not or not.
All the
And
all the
it's like,
fingers point directly to you. It's like,
yeah,
doesn't
and like,
matter, what you defended or tried to do. If somebody doesn't like it, the engineers don't go down, the PM doesn't go down, it's the designer, it's the
we
UX.
still have to come in sometimes with these grander ideas, because on the one hand, like, maybe it's, hopefully it's the right thing that we've like evaluated and looked at, like, the user situation and come up with something. So hopefully it's the right thing, but also we need to come in and do it because, like, we're not, I don't know, we're not necessarily being motivated to, like, know all the ins and outs of the system and just work within it. So it's kind of, I think it kind of just like puts us at odds a little bit with that. And like, I definitely have felt like real dumb coming into the conversations like that, where somebody's like, oh, it just doesn't work like that. Like, we can't,
Mhm.
we can't, we can't do this or that
I hate
kind of
those
a thing.
conversations. I hate them
Yeah.
so much. They're the worst.
Well, but it sounds like engineering doesn't feel so super great about them either, because it's
It-
not as if like you're like,
I think they love it. I think they love
oh,
every second of it.
no, it is not, it is really hard to, it is like sometimes painful to be the bearer of bad news and say, oh, your great design is just not feasible. We can't do that. I'm sorry. But it's also, there is a in some cases it's like, oh, I wish we knew that, we thought about that before we did this, because we would have designed it completely differently in the back end. That was really good idea. We can't do that.
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. I feel like I've had so many conversations where I've been told no, and I feel like I just get, mansplained into like until I'm ready to just close my eyes and lay down on the floor and be like, all right, enough. I've heard enough reasons why we can't do this. Like, I can't take anymore. And I really do think that people enjoy it sometimes. I think they like watching us squirm. But the thing, I think it's fun too, to like, when you do have an engineer who's sort of willing to negotiate a little bit, like, it can be fun to convince them like of something. But I definitely feel like it's honestly it's the odd occasion, because a lot of times it seems like engineering has already kind of made up their mind about what they want to do or what they can do. And then you're kind of coming in at the end to, like, put it all together. And there isn't always as much room for like brainstorming or imagining. It's sort of like ass backwards. But I think it's because engineering takes so much longer sometimes than design, that decisions get made upstream that you can't really do anything about. And then you're just kind of handed, you know, a tray of weird puzzle pieces and you're trying to put them together. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that the aspect, the challenge there is when UX is being engaged. And these failures come in because UX is being pulled in as an afterthought. Oh, we've got the problem statement, we've got the engineering solution for it, we're just going to overlay some experience on top. No, that's not how this works. You need the experience will inform aspects of the implementation. And if you don't understand the customer need and the customer experiences you're trying to build before you implement, you're going to end up locking into and restricting your experience options.
And I
And so,
personally, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and so yeah, you need to pull them in up front. You need to be part of that initial kickoff to
Mhm.
stave that.
And
that
there
limitation.
are some things that, like, we may decide, you know what, no, like UX or UX leadership or whatever might be like, you know what, no, like, we have other priorities. Like, I think engineering can handle this one on their own. But like, if you don't have that conversation and something gets determined that it's fine without bringing UX in at all, or at the beginning or anything like that. It's like, it can be so much more detrimental than just like having the conversation up front and determining that like, no, we don't need UX, and then just like moving on. Like, how hard is it to have that conversation? And
Yeah.
anyway, that's happened a lot recently. We are moving along here. Do we want to move on to the listener question, or one more question for John? What do you think, Jessamyn?
Yes, I have a question. I think John is going to be maybe the only person qualified to answer this question. So this listener question came from a user researcher, and they ask, how do I move from an individual contributor role to a more strategic innovation role? So since I don't know what strategic innovation even means, I'm going to ask John what you think.
So it sounds like this person wants to move on from being given tasks to do and you know, individually contributing to topics, to actually maybe thinking about that broader picture and defining what those tasks could be. And I think that the way you go about that is you need to be speaking up and really show that you are a thought leader in the space, or are willing to lead a team, lead a project, take on more of that responsibility in addition to your current contribution role. So kind of speaking up in meetings, raising your hand on projects early on, making yourself seen and what's the word? You are
influencing.
You're influencing the project. You are actually the expert in the room, or the person that you go to. If I had a question about something we are considering, I want your name to be one of the ones I pop up first, that I want to bounce ideas off of and explore the potential for. Not some, that's, you do that by building up relationships within your team, and more importantly, outside your team. You want to have the engineering leads and the product management leads thinking, oh, that's a perfect thing to go and talk to him or her about, right? And have your name be the one that comes up. That it's when you establish yourself as kind of a thought leader, or that person that is innovating, that you start to see your role expand and more responsibility put on your shoulders, and eventually potentially leading projects instead of just contributing to them.
When I hear this question, I think, isn't this what everyone wants? Like, doesn't everyone not want to be doing like grunt work? Doesn't everybody want to be like painting a big picture and having everybody like sit and be enraptured by their amazing thoughts?
You would be surprised.
Really?
See, I feel like I am struggling with this because I definitely don't. This doesn't come as naturally to me. This is definitely harder for me. I'm like, what's the job? Let's get it done.
I agree with you. This is hard for me too, but I just feel like the kind of like, I want to get out of like the day-to-day like small task and the fixes and the like that stuff, and I want to be, I want to be contributing to something bigger. Like that just seems like, I don't know, like something you kind of like have just generally in your career. I don't know. Maybe
you think it's just going to come naturally, like it'll just happen, or do you think you have to make it happen?
No, I like what I like what you what you offered here, because it's like, it's like, how do you get to be that person that people are like, oh yeah, this is, these are the 3 people I need to reach out to like gather my gather some important opinions before I move forward with this project or not move forward with this project. So I don't think it happens naturally. I think like John was saying, like you probably do need to work at it. But I guess it just feels like there are fewer and fewer of those positions. Like they're not exactly going to elevate all the UX researchers and designers everywhere to strategic positions. That would be silly. You'd have no one left to do like a lot of the on the ground work.
Yeah. So as a manager I've been managing quite a few people over the years, I've had these conversations, and you'd be surprised how many people would not want that level of responsibility. There's an acknowledgement that as you start getting into that role, it means that you are shifting a little bit of your focus away from the nitty-gritty implementation to some politicking, some schmoozing and horse trading that some people don't want to be any part of. They're like, no, I don't care. You tell me what the next project is. I will be happy to think about that next project and apply my skill set against it and inform how that gets solutioned. I don't want to be a part of are we doing A, B, or C, right? There are quite a few people who are happy growing and learning and expanding their career as a blinders on individual contributor, and that is, that allows them, that's their day-to-day, and they really don't want to go and be the first point of contact for things, or take on that extra responsibility of leadership.
Then maybe there's a chance. For me.
Pass the blinders. But I think that people probably sleep better at night. Like that's the thing when you're talking about this. I'm like, right, like there's a shitstorm coming and you've got to handle it, or you watch somebody else handle it while you go over there and do whatever needs doing. But it seems like like you said, the politicking or the schmoozing, the influencing, the speaking up. I mean, see, to me, like I think that's like the danger zone, because I've gotten beaten down over so many years and so many projects of like, what if we do this? What if we try that? No, that I've sort of learned to like play it safe. And I definitely have to remind myself like to stick my neck out once in a while. And when I stick my neck out, and it still happens, I mean, it happens all the time. I'll stick my neck out, try something, do something. And, I think a lot of times it's not even so much that people just disagree, or it's more like there just isn't the interest. Like I'll, hey, everybody, here's an idea. I'll invite you to this meeting. And then like 2 people show up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, well, that wasn't fun. So how do you like get past that discomfort, I guess, of like, hey, I do want to contribute, but it can be really painful to like be the person who's like, making their voice, heard.
I wonder if the person who asked this question knows about some of that pain. Well, it looks like usually we end with a guest host with our rapid fire questions, but since we're so close to the end of the year, we thought we'd switch it up today and maybe do a little bit of rapid fire of surviving, not the next week, but surviving, maybe the next year in UX product development, that kind of thing. So for both of you, any New Year's resolutions to close us out here? Any things that you feel like you really are going to do in the next year, and maybe something you're going to say no to or stop doing?
Oh my God. John, you go first.
One thing that I'm trying to try to do that has been with the pandemic has been a really big challenge for me is shutting off, working from home, and being like literally steps away from your office has made it really hard to disconnect and kind of draw those boundaries between when work starts and when work ends. And I'm trying to set some better boundaries for myself, and I've moved into an office that I can close the door, and once I've closed that door, not walk back in afterwards.
I like that.
So I'm gonna try to do that. That's one of my 2022 goals. Just looking at how much time I had been spending in 2021 and 2020 working versus when I used to be able to go to the office and have that clean separation as I left the office and got into my car and like, okay, laptop closed, no longer opening that work laptop unless somebody sends an emergency or calls me, right?
I know. I just think about how I used to leave my laptop on the desk at night and I would go home with just my purse, and I'd just be like, oh, and I didn't have work email on my phone or anything. I mean, it was just like you can't even get through. And I used to say to myself, there's no such thing as a design emergency. No one needs me after 5 p.m. Truly. But yeah, I think about that now. I'm just checking work email this morning. Oh, did I miss anything? And I was thinking, should I just turn on my turn off my notifications over the weekend so I'm not tempted to look? But yeah, I think that's awesome. I like that. Close the door, work less. What about you, Meg?
I'm still thinking. I'm still trying to figure it out. How about you, Jessamyn?
So my New Year's resolution is one that I'm utterly dreading, and it's to learn Figma. And all the youngins are using it, and everybody's going over to Figma from Sketch. And like literally yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And I like open a file and I click on a text box, and I'm like, it won't resize. And I'm clicking and clicking, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna blow my brains out right now. Like there's some setting deep in the settings panel that's gonna, have that this text box has. That's why it won't resize. And I'm sure it's like some advanced crap that I've got to now learn. And I'm like, whoever put this software together, they're just, I don't know, they're just getting off on settings, like deep settings for these little components that should be so simple, like a text box. And I'm just like, this is going to be a nightmare. I'm just going to have to grit my teeth and bear it. I'm just, I felt like learning Sketch was so easy, and this is going to be such a pain.
I feel like learning Sketch was a leap for me at the time back in the day. But I do feel like this is an era of, you kind of got to know both, or you got to start to get on board with a lot more of the synchronous design.
First of all, I don't want anyone touching my designs. Okay,
well,
I don't want to share my fucking file with another designer ever. It's so painful. It's so painful.
Yeah, welcome to the new world of design. I have some bad news. It's been challenging, but it sounds like potentially a great topic for next time. John, we're running out of time. John, we want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your perspective on engineering and the relationship with UX, and how we can, come to some sort of agreements or overlap in our goals and mutual desire to make a better user experience within this crazy world of product development. Thank you so much for being here. We hope you have such a great new year, a great holiday, and a great start to the new year. And we hope our listeners do as well.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for inviting me on, and happy holidays and happy new year to you both.
Thank you, John.
Bye.
Bye.
Surviving UX is edited by me, Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco phones. It's called Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. I happen to know this is also a favorite of our guest host, John Spann, who we thank tremendously for sharing his experiences and thoughts on UX today. Thanks also to my co-host, Jessamyn Edwards, and thank you for listening. Hang in there until next time.